Well, hi, everyone, and good morning. This is Michael. Welcome, Dreamers and Doers. We are so excited for episode number 33. And it's a LoveWorks. We believe that the dreams of students truly can come true. And we believe that you are never too young to be a dreamer, and you are definitely never too old to get started working on your dream.
I dig that, Michael. And our hope with Dreamers and Doers is that each week our special guest is going to connect with you wherever you find yourself today, whether that is cold or maybe you're nice and toasty at home. But we hope that this interview and this conversation inspires you to become the best version of yourself for tomorrow.
Carolyn, I have to be honest, I did not imagine that this morning I would be wearing a collared shirt and a sweater, and I probably could wear a scarf as well.
I thought about the same combo, Michael, but I was like, I'm going to wait for the extra layer. I'm going to need it later.
Those of you that are tuning in from Oklahoma, you know what I mean. Just one blink of an eye and the weather may change, and that certainly is going to happen today. So while it could be raining now, be prepared for thunder, snow, and thunder, sleet. And I heard some freezing rain later. So I hope this conversation and interview will warm everybody up.
Sure.
Well, speaking of warming you up, Carolyn and I want to warm you up this morning talking about, you guessed it, those of you who tune in week after week, personal growth. It's at LoveWorks. We believe that you can have an absolute blast while personally growing and developing yourself. And something that we tell our students a lot is that we believe that leaders are readers. And so most likely, you're going to see a staff member or a student at LoveWorks always with a book in their hand, or potentially listening audibly as well. But Carolyn, you and I are going to talk a little bit kind of popcorn style about some recent books that we and our students have been reading along the lines of personal growth.
Yeah, I think this it's going to be a really great selection for any students listening, any family members listening, any professionals listening. Whether it sounds like, is that book too young for me? It's probably not.
No, you're definitely right. So let's kick this off again, popcorn style. We're going to move pretty quick. But a book that we have read, and that just came out a couple years ago, so we have lots of students and staff read it. It's from one of our colleagues and friends. His name is Chris Capehart. He was a guest on Dreamers and Doers podcast, episode number 18, and he wrote a book called Step. And it's all about pursuing your dreams in the midst of everyday life, regardless of the circumstances.
We got another book for you, which is, yes, a children's book, but one that made me even cry. This one is based on a true story. It's called All the Way to the Top, and it's a story about Jennifer Keelan Chaffins, and she co-wrote the book as well, but it's a story about her. And when she was 8 years old, she started participating in her first protests for Americans with disabilities. And so she's part of the reason why we have the ADA in place, and we have things like ramps, the big blue buttons that automatically open doors. And believe it or not, that all happened in the late 80s and 90s. And so it's a really incredible story, and especially one to introduce your kids to, especially when it comes to social activism.
That's powerful. And a little birdie told me that she is going to be a future guest as well.
For sure.
Let's switch gears a little bit to a recent book that just came out a couple of months ago by Dr. Tim Elmore from Atlanta, Georgia. And he wrote a book called The Pandemic Population. So if you happen to have kids between the ages of 0 to 21, definitely tune into this particular book, where he delivers 8 strategies to help Gen Z rediscover their hope after coronavirus. And we're hoping Tim will be a future guest as well.
For sure. This one, Michael, this would be a really great future guest. Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. Brene has come out with a number of books about vulnerability and also courage. But this one kind of all spins it into a leadership aspect. And how can we be the best leader by being a courageous and vulnerable leader? Highly recommend it.
So good. How about another children's book, The Girl Chronicles, which is a story of good, and it chronicles a true story from 2 sisters from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. At the age of 5 and 8, they discovered their passion for helping homeless men and women, and in particular, also to children that are unable to go to school in Africa. And so they started an organization, again, at the ages of 5 and 8, called Beads of Good. And the book, The Girl Chronicles, really chronicles their story and their journey.
Michael, I love these highlights in Oklahoma City. Because
Hey, Oklahoma has it going on.
We
sure.
really do. We really do. Last book I'll mention is Hope Rising. It's by Amy Downs, and she is an OKC bombing survivor. But really, from that was a large catalyst in changing her entire life, from a mental perspective, from a physical perspective, and an emotional perspective. And so her book, Hope Rising, great book. And then go ahead, check it out. We've interviewed her too. She's episode number 6.
Early on in the pandemic. So there's a few personal growth books from our catalog. We would love to hear about your catalog. So if there's a recent leadership book, personal growth and development that has really helped you, drop that in the chat box. And just a hint in regard to today's guest, we may deliver you an OnCue gift card directly to your house.
Ooh, that sounds good. I think our students are going to be commenting now. Any books? Maybe Be Fearless, a book.
Hey, there we go.
Well, that brings us to our roll call time. And so if you are watching out there, let us know what grade you're in, who you are, and where you're at. And if you wish for a snow day, put that in there too. We've got a fun question of the day. This definitely does have to do with our special guest. And the question of the day is, what is your favorite fountain drink? So if you were to go into, say, an OnCue right now, what would you be filling your cup with? Michael?
Well, I'd fill mine up with half cubed and crushed ice with Coca-Cola, which I drink maybe 3 to 4 times a year, but nothing like a nice cold Coca-Cola with lots of ice. How about you?
Ooh, that sounds good. I do all crushed ice. I think that's the best ice on earth. Like the little nugget ice, it's amazing. And if I get a soda drink, I'm kind of with you, Michael. I'll get maybe a Dr. Pepper, add a little bit of cherry in there. That's kind of my mix. That's my jam.
I like it. Well, speaking of jam, we are going to jam and get started with our interview. But we want to remind you of our format, Dreamers and Doers. Each week, we have a real fortunate opportunity to sit down with a different guest, someone that we would call a dreamer and a doer, and have the opportunity to at least hear one of their dream stories. And you know, with the dream story, it's not going to come without some obstacle and adversity and challenge. You're going to hear about that, but we hope it doesn't discourage you. But if anything, we hope it's going to encourage you to get from the place you are today to the place that you want to get to tomorrow.
And to warm you up for the interview, we've got a trivia question and a chance for you to win a prize. And so first person to answer this correctly, we'll send you perhaps an OnCue card directly to your house. So today's question is, how many gas stations are in the U.S.? How many gas stations are in the U.S.? First person to answer this correctly, or maybe closest, we'll send a prize directly to you.
And Carolyn, with what I know about speed of gas stations starting up in convenience stores, I'd have imagined that number could be higher than it was when we looked it up on Friday.
I bet so.
Well, we're going to talk about some future convenience store growth. We're going to get a chance to hear today from special guest, dreamer and doer, Laura Aufleger.
Although she's currently the president of OnCue, Laura Griffith Aufleger started working at one of the stores at age 15. And prior to rejoining the company, she was a vice president at Direct Development, which is a commercial real estate development company in Dallas. And so she's a part of a lot of different amazing organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Little Sure Shots, and plenty of other amazing charitable organizations where she has fundraised for. But in addition to that, she's one of the 40 under 40 leaders to watch. And she's also TWIC's Woman of the Year. And so really incredible, really excited. Let's bring on Miss Laura.
Hi, Laura. Great to see you this morning. How are you, Laura?
Laura, I think the volume may be turned off.
Hello, Laura, can you hear us?
Let's see. Laura, we'll add you on and we'll add you back on.
There we go. Hi, Laura. Laura, can you hear us now? Hello, hello.
Oh no. Laura, you might just try restarting. That link should work for you again, and we should be good, hopefully after that.
Carolyn, I think I heard some thunder out here.
I've been hearing, are you talking about the snow thunder?
The snow thunder. There's always new meteorology language. I've only lived here for 10 years. I think I've heard it all, but apparently not.
Thunder sleet. That's my favorite.
The thunder sleet?
Yeah. There should be a song. There could be a song about that.
I've heard of thunder snow. Hi, Laura.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hey, awesome. 2020, right?
Absolutely. Hey, we are so excited you are on with us this morning.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I almost want to jump right in, and I almost became exhausted hearing your bio. What do you do? I just want to ask you, like, how do you do it? How much coffee or caffeine do you drink on a daily basis?
A lot of coffee. A lot of coffee.
Oh, awesome.
Well, Laura, one of the first questions that we love asking, because I think a coffee in your hand most likely means you're a doer, but most likely also feeling some big dreams. And so would you consider yourself more of a natural dreamer or more of a natural doer?
Honestly, both. I think kind of you have to be a dreamer first to kind of have that vision and kind of set the pace. And then, you kind of map out how you're going to actually achieve that dream by the doing part of it. So it's kind of a dreaming and then doing to really kind of achieve that goal.
It's all powered by coffee.
All powered by coffee.
Well, we're going to hear more about your dreaming and doing. Of course, we want to get into what you're currently doing right now with OnCue. But if you don't mind, Laura, we're going to rewind the tape just a few years. And we would love our audience to be able to hear, what was life like for you growing up? And we mentioned that you started working at the age of 15, but based on conversations we've had, we heard about this little Fisher-Price cash register that you started working at a much earlier age. Could you tell us about that as well, too?
Yeah. So it's pretty funny, but when I was little, most kids, you're dreaming and playing and everything. And I had a little Fisher-Price cash register and I would play store. And so at my house, I set up my own little, basically convenience store. And so that was where I was playing. And then after that, I started dreaming a little bit bigger and I started a business where I would go find rocks and I would paint rocks and sell them to my neighbors. And then, I kept dreaming a little bit bigger after that. And I had decided at one point, I was going to be the first actress, fashion designer that saved the manatees, saved the rainforest, found a cure for cancer, became the first female president, and had a husband and 5 kids. So, it just kind of compounded there.
Is it all by 16 or 18? Or
Yeah, right. But I was like, oh yeah, I can totally do all that, right?
Yeah.
But it all started with my little register.
So I'm thinking, Laura, I was thinking about this over the weekend. I have 3 little kiddos myself, ages 4, 6, and 7. And over this cold weekend here in Oklahoma, I watched my kiddos accessorize baby dolls, build big towers with Legos, got all bundled up, and they built a fort outside, and they used their imagination. It's interesting, like we do those things when we're a kid. I think, unfortunately, though, as we grow up, we begin to set them down and then we set our sights. It's almost like life kind of settles in and we get real serious and we almost forget about those things that we did when we were younger. What do you think made the difference for you in not setting those things down, but you mentioned like you kept dreaming? So were there some positive reinforcements that happened along the way for you?
Yeah. Throughout the way, there were different things and there were always obstacles and challenges. You try and you fail and you have to, pick yourself up and persevere through it. But, using those different opportunities that come your way, and it might not look the way you think it's going to, look, from all the things that I was like, I'm totally going to do that in my life. And then, now I'm working for a convenience store chain, things don't always go exactly as planned or down the exact pathway that you think they might, but, taking advantage of those different opportunities. And then, when you find yourself in a position, like I am, where, I realize I can make a difference. It just might not look exactly the way that I thought it would,
Yeah.
So I like how you mentioned that of just, you kind of stayed on track. You had these other dreams, and it wasn't necessarily that those needed to go away. It just maybe doesn't look like what it always looks like. Were you imagining this? So you started working at age 15 in the stores. Did you imagine yourself one day like running the store? And then how did that experience kind of impact you at this really important age, I would say?
Yeah. At 15, all of my friends were at the, in the summer, they're at the pool and having fun. And then I was taking out the outdoor trash at a convenience store. And I'm like, wait a minute here. No, but it was a great experience because it really kind of instilled that work ethic, and it was a lot harder than I expected. And so you realize how much you have to put in, and, it doesn't seem like it's going towards a goal when you're having to do things that don't seem in line with that, like taking out the trash or mopping a floor. But, it really lays that foundation that you can build upon.
I love that. And, I know, Laura, something that you're big on is opportunities. And so I want to just park here for just a little bit longer. Early on in your career, you mentioned that you saw opportunities that really helped you to gain skill sets that have now paid off, of course, in your professional career. And so can you talk with us just a little bit about what an opportunity might look like? I think at a young age, not saying it doesn't happen when we're older, but at a young age, I do believe that, we miss a lot of opportunities, but you seem to really seize those for your advantage. So can you talk with us a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's kind of a whole realm of different opportunities that come your way. But, one of them would be, I would say, when I didn't think I had any time in college, when I was so busy, and even in high school too, but, by volunteering and being a big sister through Big Brothers Big Sisters, I didn't think I had time to do that. I didn't, but oh my goodness, I got so much out of that. And, then you also have in work and, in your career, I found myself working at an advertising agency, which seemed kind of off path. But, one of my tasks, I'll never forget one day being in a white suit, and by golly, I had to go clean out the fridge on Fridays. So, just giving it your all on whatever it is and wherever you see yourself. And it might not seem, but man, taking that opportunity that, if I'm going to clean out the fridge, it is going to be so clean, just, it's always different, and you really never know. But yeah, it's the saying yes and to, trying and giving your all, even if it's out of your comfort zone.
I think that's really important to note. Like we sometimes are given tasks, especially when we're younger, of like, take out the trash or clean up your room. And we just see that more as like, okay, this is on my to-do list. I have to do it. But really flipping it of saying like, okay, this is an opportunity to do my very best.
Yeah.
And my teacher even asked like to do something small for her. It's like, okay, this is my opportunity right now. I love that.
Hey, I'm hoping that our students take this to heart, put into practice, and we have some extra clean, maybe refrigerators, bedrooms. So, Laura, I would love for you to paint a picture for us. We heard just early on just the story of the Fisher-Price cash register and you dreaming one day of owning your own store. And now today, fast forward a few years, you are. So can you paint a picture for our audience of what that looks like and what you oversee today for OnCue?
Yeah. So today I'm in the position of president. And so I always say it's so fun and exciting because there are no 2 days that are the same in this industry, because when you run a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation, there is always something going on. So it's so fun and exciting. We have our kind of innovation side of where we're continuing to grow and to develop. And that's so fun. And, then you have the operations side and then the marketing side. And then you have the pandemic thrown in the mix on, wow, things that I never thought I would be dealing with every single day. But it's just always full of challenges every single day. There's no 2 days that are the same. And, sometimes it's a lot to think about. And But I'm so fortunate to find myself where I am now. And I just love where I'm at. I love the people I work with. And I think that makes the biggest difference in the world is the people around you.
Well, your love for what you do and your team certainly shines through. You make that so clear and so obvious. Let's talk a little bit just about just how OnCue is doing and performing. According to Oklahoma readers, OnCue now has been named the best convenience store for the 8th year in a row. So would you mind talking with us a little bit about what you feel sets OnCue apart?
I'd say 100% it's the people at OnCue that make the difference. Recently we've really united under a mission together throughout the company, and it's to better the lives of those we serve through innovation, exceptional customer experiences, and invested team members. So to me, that is the foundation of everything we do. I mean, it doesn't help when it doesn't hurt when you can build, state-of-the-art facilities and can, be able to change and to grow and add new concepts and, being able to pivot and, whether it's adding EV charging stations or CNG, really being able to expand. But yeah, it all comes down to the people. It's all about the people.
That's good. And it's powerful too, what you said. It doesn't certainly hurt you having state-of-the-art facilities, but it has to start with great people.
Yeah.
And you certainly have built a foundation working with such a great team and building that up. And there is definitely a marked difference when you walk inside the store of an OnCue that you can tell that the team members that are working, aren't just giving the mandate of making sure that you make sales and that the bathrooms are clean. But each experience that I've had with OnCue, and not just exaggerating, but I found someone that's courteous with a big smile and also too willing to help me, when I'm there in the midst of serving hundreds of customers that come in at such a fast pace in your industry.
Yeah, it's so much more. You're going to get that welcome to OnCue when you come, but it's so much more than that, what they do every day. I mean, truly, they're heroes. I mean, and it's through this pandemic, you've really seen, actually being labeled essential workforce, it really kind of changed our perspective. We already knew that they did so much more than it's not just running a cash register. It's so much more, even at night, sometimes they're like the beacon of light in the neighborhood of, if somebody needs help, that's where they're going to go. And, it's just so much more than you would have ever thought.
Oh, that's so true. And I think, it perfectly shows like that value of giving your 100%. Like, it's not just pumping up your gas, but it's like, let's create the best experience that can be then. Like,
Exactly.
That's awesome. Hearing about the company, the values, of course, and then of course, it's never a dull moment in a 24/7 type environment. I think some of our students may be kind of curious right now, how do I start working for OnCue? And so, like, what do you look for when your company is hiring, when you're looking on bringing people on? Who are you looking for?
Yeah, I would say positive attitude. That is always just a huge thing. If you have a positive attitude, having that initiative and drive, and, being able to work with, diverse amount of employees and diverse customer base, but really that positive attitude, if you have that and you have the drive to try, I mean, you can go really far. And it really, there's so much potential for opportunity with it.
Students, take notes now. You may have some dreams right now for OnCue. It could be maybe bringing some students on. But we wanted to ask you, and it could be a personal one. What's a dream you're working on right now?
Wow. So besides the kind of continued growth through, adding stores outside of Oklahoma, one big thing for me was I always wanted to, try to do good and make a difference. But, right now, especially in the month of October, we all collectively come behind supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And so it's an exciting time for us, even in this weird 2020 year that we're in. It's just so fun to see what we can come together and do, with our customers as well, and just really trying to make a difference there.
Laura, that's so powerful. I love just your heart and your company's heart for giving and being philanthropic, and you also serve not just St. Jude's, but also to our Oklahoma schools as well, right?
We do. We just finished wrapping up our latest fundraiser cup campaign. And so I think we haven't announced our total yet, but it's just been exciting to see what we are able, it's always a partnership, I think, with our customers, but man, the things that we are able to do and how much we're able to, support our local school systems, it's exciting.
I know you're not able to reveal it, but if someone out there wants to take a guess on how much you think that's been raised through the Cup program, who knows? Maybe we'll send you an OnCue gift card as well. Laura, there's a question we love to ask our dreamers and doers, and it's a chance to not change the past, but if you had the opportunity to go back and whisper just one bit of advice or encouragement, either into the ear of your middle school self or high school self, what might that be?
Honestly, for me, it was, hey, your braces, they really will come off. There will be a day where you don't have to wear braces or rubber bands. I mean, I really wish somebody would have told me that, because, man, when you're in the middle of it, it feels like it's never going to end.
Yeah, it's endless.
Endless.
Popcorn again.
Exactly. Don't even think of biting into an apple. It's never happening.
Popcorn one day will come back, right?
Popcorn can totally be a part of your every Friday night, like it is.
I love it.
Yeah. Aww. Well, that brings us to the end of our interview. And what we love to do is something called Last Minute Link, where we give you, our guest speaker, just 60 seconds to share whatever is on your heart, out there to our dreamers, maybe to our doers, or even to both. But Laura, just wanted to give you a chance to share.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really, for me, I always had this, I wanted to do something good and I wanted to make positive changes in the world. And I thought there was only really one way to go about that, by, either working in the nonprofit industry or, being a doctor or a scientist. And, I didn't think that was possible through business. And then it's been so exciting to see that I really didn't have to make a choice on what direction to go. By being a leader in a company, you're able to impact the lives of, all of your employees and your customers, and, make those positive changes. But then we're able to come together and support all of these wonderful organizations and to really try to make a difference there. So even if I'm not necessarily curing cancer, we've been able to raise over $2.3 million to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And, they're making these great strides in trying to eradicate childhood cancer. So not quite direct how I thought I could go about making a difference, but it's just been amazing to see that through that continued perseverance and taking those opportunities, I am able to find myself in a business position where we are able to make a difference and try to better lives for other people.
Laura, that was awesome. I think it totally shows that you have your values straight ahead of you. And that's really the big guiding line there. And so I hope that encourages our students, whether they're wanting to become a basketball player, a business owner one day, a chef, whatever it is, that they're able to make a difference in people's lives. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Well, Laura, hang tight. We're going to give you a short break. And let me tell you, it's going to be short. So maybe just a chance to take a sip of your drink. But we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes with some question and answer. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, Carolyn, was that your takeaway, which you just recap for us, or do you have another big takeaway from today's interview?
I have another big takeaway. I hope it's not the one that you're thinking of, but I'm just thinking about that opportunity side of it and doing things 100%. I think that's really neat to think about it in that perspective of like, okay, if I'm going to be taking out the trash, how can I make sure that I'm doing it the best that I can? So it's like little things of like, buddy, you're not going to drag it on the ground, or you're going to be a little bit more intentional with your swing or with whatever it is. But I really like that question of like, doing even the things that seem small and mundane, like how can we do that to the best of our ability? And how can that be a testament to our work ethic too?
That's so powerful. Did you see my notes here by chance that I was writing during the interview?
No, I didn't. I was about to say, I was like, I really hope I'm not taking yours.
You did, but in such a great way. I got to be honest, that's a lesson that I had to learn, and I don't think I learned it in life as early as Laura did. I was actually in my early 20s, and I was in a position that a new position that I was really excited about. And with this new position, I thought, it was going to give me close proximity to the president and to the CEO, which I did have. But on one of my first weeks on the job, I was asked to take dry cleaning, to get it dry cleaned, to clean his car, and to clean a green room. And I remember how that just initially felt. I thought I was going to have this like promotion and I was going to be number 2 guy and work close to the CEO, but I had to fall in love with the opportunities that were right in front of me. And so I'm glad that it didn't take too long, but I figured out quickly, I'm going to do the very best I can. I'm going to get that laundry dry cleaned. I'm going to get it put right on time, right where it needs to be. I'm going to look even in between the seats after the car gets cleaned, and I'm going to find those French fries that might have fallen to the ground, and that I'm going to make that the best creative green room that I possibly can. And not that I just did it for a promotion, but it certainly opened up opportunities for me, and it helped to develop a certain particular work ethic, that I needed for the next place that I was being called to in my leadership journey.
Michael, that's good. This reminds me of a podcast I was listening to recently that was talking about a CEO who gives all of her employees a test when they first arrive. Doesn't matter what position they are. And the first test is to get her very, very complicated Starbucks order. Ooh. And I mean, it's complicated. It's got at least 5 different steps in there. But the whole point is if they can get that right, as meaningless or mundane as it seems to get coffee for someone, if they can get her order right, she knows that she can trust them with a lot more. So I was like, so maybe coffee runs mean a lot more than it seems they do.
That is good. Well, you may have gave our guest an idea for a future employee with OnCue. Let's bring her back. Laura, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm sure you probably have a tip or trick under your sleeves as you onboard potential candidates.
We have. Yeah, it's quite a process. We actually have this whole team, this talent development team who has this whole process, and it's a lot of steps. It's not just a one interview. There's like at least 3 interviews. So it's pretty wild.
So good. Well, again, thank you so much for your time this morning. We're going to have time for a couple of questions. And the first one is going to come from our chat feature on our website, loveworksleadership.org. And we have a special little one for a question for you, Laura.
All right.
Hi, my name is 9. I'm 7 years old, and I have a question for you. How do you start your day?
Thank you so much for the question. That one's pretty fantastic. I will say normal days, I actually get up at like 4:30 in the morning and I go do Orange Theory. So I feel good and I get so much energy and, able to get excited about the day by starting out with a good workout and then coffee. For me, lots of coffee. Lots of coffee.
I love that. We got another question for you. This is coming from our students. This is from Nora. She asks, what is your favorite gas station food, drink, and snack?
I mean, that's a pretty loaded question. I have so many things that I like, but I will say if you ever had the opportunity at kind of our newest convenience store concepts, they have the grill, our food kitchen where we have made to order food. There are these jalapeno chicken bites and you can put Kick It Up spice on them and dip it in some Chipotle. Oh my goodness. It's just the best thing in the entire world. And that combined with, I'm a Topo Chico person. I love to get a Topo Chico. So unless it's in the morning, I'm going espresso, but still, yeah.
That made Carolyn very happy, Laura.
Not sparkling water.
I love it.
Laura, we have 2 more questions for you. This next one it's about Big Brothers and Big Sisters. You are a supporter, and could you tell our audience about Big Brothers and Big Sisters and what they do?
Yeah. So big brothers, big sisters, it's a one-to-one mentoring relationship. And so you have either a big brother or big sister, and they are paired up with a younger brother or younger sister. And so it's the opportunity, whether it's school-based or community-based, to have that, one-to-one relationship. And you get to, spend time together, work together. If it could be tutoring, or it could be, going to the zoo or doing something, but it's that building that relationship and really trying to, for me, it was trying to make a difference in a young person's life. But it made a bigger difference in my life probably than it did for them even. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome program if you have the time to look into it.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And we'll definitely include that in the show notes as well. Laura, we have one more question, and it has to do with Christmas and holiday lights. So I mentioned that I was on cue probably about the same time that you were waking up this morning at about 4:30 a.m. And I have to tell you, one of my favorite parts of stopping at on cue before sunrise or after sunset, or just driving by an I-35, is seeing the Christmas lights. And so can you tell us just a little bit about that? Like, why does OnCue put Christmas lights up and so early? Is there any meaning behind that?
Yeah, I will say, 2020 has been really tough on people, and things are not normal. And we've always thought the Christmas lights were important and unique. But right now, we wanted to start earlier than ever, because we're like, man, if you can drive by and see that and it just brighten your day a little bit, then we wanted to be able to do that for people. And it's something that, is so visible, but, it can make that difference and just really hopefully make somebody smile. And I think we all need a little more of that right now. So.
No, you are definitely right, Laura. Well, I can tell you it made a difference in my morning. It put a little extra smile in my day today. And I know that you did the same with our viewers and watchers of today's interview. So, Laura, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for helping to make us better.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, Dreamers and Doers, we told you that was going to be awesome. This is certainly worth a replay and a rewatch. We also just want to remind you to mark your calendars as well for next Monday. Next Monday, we're going to be bringing in a friend of LoveWorks, someone that we've known now for almost a decade. His name is Andrew Sartain, and he's the CEO and president of Earth Rebirth, that has a big dream to plant gardens in every school in Oklahoma. And Carolyn, what's really, I think, special about it is that I had an opportunity to sit with Andrew almost 9 years ago, and I heard the dream while eating pizza. And now here we are 9 years later, and he's doing it across Norman and beyond. So it's going to be an incredible time with Andrew.
That is awesome. Hey, Dreamers and Doers, I'm excited for it. And just a reminder, you can visit us at loveworksleadership.org. You can find all of our episodes actually for this podcast, whether you want to listen to it live like this on YouTube, or you can also catch it on SoundCloud or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, all available at loveworksleadership.org.
And we know this is a shameless plug, but we have such an incredible team here at LoveWorks that works hard on our show notes. On Wednesdays, we release a blog that connects. It's a summary of our interviews that we're doing with Dreamers and Doers podcast. So definitely check that out. And any book, resource, or organization like Big Brothers Big Sisters that gets mentioned, we provide the links in the show notes or in the blog. So definitely check that out, everybody. We hope you make today awesome. Remember that real leaders, they don't blend in, but they stand out.
Dream big.
And do your dream. Bye, everybody.